Okay, give me 1 minute. I'll start doing one thing. Okay. So let's do the object. Let's continue with our objects. So if I create a function person and I name it as first name, last name, and here I can say this dot first name is equal to first name. So this first name basically I am assigning to this dot first name. I can also say this dot fn as a first name, and this first name is coming from here. And let's have this dot ln equal to, I will assign this last name to ln. And now I can create a function from this function. I can create an object from this function. So how can I create object? I can say var. For example, I will pass John. I'll create a variable John and I will call new person and I will pass John Doe. Okay, and then when I see John, you will see I have the first name fn as a John, which I am passing here, and last name is Doe, which I am passing. If I go inside this prototype, I have this constructor inside that, and this constructor is nothing but the function from which I created this object. So this object has a constructor, which is the function which I used in creating this object. Okay, so this is the one way to create the object. So let me write down the way one, method one, to create the object. And second method to create the object is var object equal to, I just put curly bracket and this will become the object. And then I can assign key value pair inside it by saying fn equal to John and ln equal to Joe. This is the second way I create the object. Third way to create the object is method 3, and here I will say var object 2 is equal to new object, and then I can say object 2 dot first name equal to John. I can say object 2 dot last name equal to Doe. There are more methods also which we will see in few days how to create object, but for today and in the last lecture also I only showed these 3 methods. So there are few more methods which we will see in few days. So now write down these 3 methods so that you know all these 3 methods, and tomorrow I will ask you to write down this without looking. So you have to create a function object with method 1, method 2 and method 3 without referring any book or referring anything. Okay, so just write down here so that you can remember it, and let me know once it is done. Okay, one yes is done. So if you just go on writing, I'm just explaining something about it. So if you want to quickly create object with no more hassle, you can use this method. This method is very less favorable. And if you want really the good object with a lot of functionalities and all, then the preferred method is this one. So out of 3 methods, this top one is the best one, and try to create object using the first method if possible. Otherwise, if you are in a hurry, just want to create object, method 2 is okay. Okay, so most of the people are done. Okay, now I will create one object, simple object. I don't want to create function object. I am just creating key value per object. Var object equal to, I will say same thing. First name equal to John and last name equal to Doe. This is the JavaScript object. What is this JavaScript object? So there is another concept that is called Json. Okay, so there is another concept Json, which is something used in the transferring the data. Okay, so Json is also kind of object, and the format for Json is we start with in the similar way whatever we have the JS object. Json is in the similar way. I can use this curly bracket and create a JSON object here like this. So I can say, but while creating the JSON, I have to put everything in the double quotes. Okay, so I put FN and I will put John. Okay, and then LN and I put Doe. And if I want to create object, I will put key in the double quotes, but object I can create like this. Okay, so something is wrong. Okay, so this JSON object doesn't work in the console. So sorry, JSON object doesn't work in console, but this is the format I'm showing. It is working here. Maybe some mistake was there. Console is taking it, right? Okay. Okay, maybe it's considering it as a JavaScript object, but we are trying to learn JSON object. So what is the difference? JSON object always have double quote in the key also, in the value also. And here I will say city, anything. I can put anything here. If it's a numeric value, I can say, but key should always be in the double quote. Okay, so this JSON object, let's say if I put age, I can put numeric value without double quotation. Only the string and the key value should be in the double quote. And if I want to create array, I can create array with a rectangular bracket. So this format is called the JSON object. And why we use JSON object? So whenever we want to get data from the server, I use this JSON object to get the data from the server. Let's say if I am building a website like Facebook. Okay, so if I'm building like a website like Facebook, you see the wall. So how do you think that wall is getting the data? So all the data which is coming from the server to your computer is in this JSON format. Now every website nowadays uses this JSON object in building their website. So all the data which you see in all the websites currently are using this JSON object. Few websites which are very old, they might not be using it, but currently all Facebook, Google, or any website you go, all the websites are using this JSON object. So this JSON object is similar to the JavaScript object. Only difference is that here in the key also you have to put it in the double quote. Okay, key should be also in the double quote. So whenever user create the form in the Facebook to submit the data, that also go into in this JSON format. So this JSON format is very important. And when we build the JSON, when we build our website, everything which we will do is using this JSON object. Okay, so JSON object is similar to JavaScript. Just we have to remember that key should be in the double quote, and rest will be looks like a JavaScript object only, but it is the JSON object. I will drill more on this, and I will ask more questions in few days. Today is the intro lecture to JSON object, but we will be doing a lot more on the JSON object. Okay, so let's see how to convert JavaScript to kind of JSON object and back JSON to JavaScript back. Okay, so we will do some conversion now. So for example, I have a JavaScript object. I am writing JavaScript object. So here will be name, Jack, and I'll say last name, Bauer. Okay, this is my object. Now I want to convert this to JSON object. So I will use like this, JSON.stringify, and I will put obj. When I put JSON.stringify obj, though it has escaped, you will see there is a slash in this line. Okay, this slash is in the line, but when you will really pass it, slash is not needed. But when JavaScript tried to do it, it put the slash on the double quote. The reason they put slash here, because it starts from the double quote and it should end from the double quote. And so in between part, whenever they see the double quote, it is escaping the double quote. So this escape, ignore this escape part. This escape is only for the display purpose, because JavaScript cannot, if it does not put the escape, this starting double quote will end this double quote, which will give the error kind of thing. So this escape is only for the display purpose. Otherwise, this format is same thing, like name is there with double quote, last name is there with double quote, and values are in the double quote. So this is the way we convert normal object to the JSON object. So if you ignore this slash, this looks like the same thing which I explained you previously, how the JavaScript JSON object looks like. Let's take another example. I will add age also in a numeric one. 34, for example. Let's try to do it now again. So you will see keys are always having the double quote. Keys are always having the double quote. But this age is integer, therefore it does not have the double quote. Strings have double quote. And forget about this slash. Slash is only for display purpose. In reality, when you create JSON object, you will not put slash. Okay, you will just create without slash. So how it is used? How this JSON object is used? I will show you one practical utility which I use. Or I don't think I have here installed. Okay, I will install tomorrow and I will show you one utility where we use this JSON object in a website kind of thing, in our website. Those who have attended my React class before, they know that we have always JSON object and we send a JSON object. Now this is a JSON object because it doesn't look like JavaScript object. Okay, but I can take this JSON object and convert back into JavaScript object with the utility called as json.parse. And here I will put the JSON object, and when I press enter, you will see it is a normal JavaScript object, right? Age, last name, vowel, and double quote, single quote, it doesn't matter. It can give the double quote also, though I created here single quote. So these two utilities, json.stringify and json.parse, are two very important functionalities in the JavaScript. One is used to convert object into the JSON object, and another one is used to convert JSON object back to object. So just write down these two functionalities. Maybe don't write down this whole string. Just you can say json.stringify, some object we can pass, and json.parse, we pass a string and it converts back. We pass the JSON string and it converts back to object. Okay, so just do this one. This json.parse and json.stringify is very important. They are used to convert object to JSON and from JSON back to object. Okay, so these two are very important. Just remember these two. Okay. Let me let's do one more thing now. Now this thing I will ask you to do some exercise also. Something you have to do. Okay, let's start with a function again, person, with first name and the last name. And here I will create something, this dot first name equal to first name, this dot last name equal to last name. So I created this function. Now I want to make this function as an object. We know how to make this function as object. If I want to do the console.log, console.dir of this function person, this one, let's see what we get. I get few properties. So name is automatically created. That is the name of this function. It has length of 2 because two parameters are there. So length is 2. Now if you see, there is a prototype property of this function. Can you see this prototype property? And this prototype property is very important in extending this function. So this function is created. I want to extend it. I want to add more functions to this person. So based on this prototype, I will be able to do lot of additions to this function person. Okay, let's see how we have to do with the prototype. Prototype also has one property that is called a constructor. So we will come back to this constructor soon, but before that, let's try to see the power of the prototype. Okay, so I can extend the functionality of this function using this prototype. So how to do that? I will say name of the function, that is person. Then I will use the prototype, that is dot prototype, and then I will put any name. For example, I put any functionality. I can create variable also. I create uh, functions also. Let's create one function called as get full name equal to function. I will create it as a function. So what I'm doing, I'm extending this person of function to add more functionalities. This is my one function. I may add 100 more functions. This all functions will be tied to this person function. And when I create an object using this person function, I will be able to use all this additional functionality which I have created it. So I will create, for example, return this dot first name plus this dot last name. Okay, I'm returning this first name and last name. I'm getting the get full name. Now if I see this console.dir of person, you will see that prototype has a function called as get full name. Now let me create the object from this one. Var John equal to person equal to new person. I'm creating object from this function, and I will pass Don Doe. I will put an enter. Now if I see John, you will see it is a person and it has the first name last name of this one, because we gave the this name first name, this dot last name equal to whatever I passed. I passed these two variables, and then if I go to the proto, I can see the get full name. Get full name is created here. So whatever there is there in this proto, this John can use it. This John can use it first name, last name, and it can go to the proto and it can use this function also. It can go into this proto also, and it can use all these functionalities if he wants to. So for example, if I print John dot first name, I'm getting John. If I print John dot last name, I'm getting Doe. Though get full name is not inside the immediate object of this John, but it is inside the proto. So I can use any of the function in the proto also. So I can say John dot get full name. Okay, I'm getting undefined. Wait, let me see. Okay, here I put the small letter and here I put the capital letter, and that's the reason it is giving undefined. Okay, so let's modify this function. Okay, to first name small letter n. Okay, so now if I try, I'm getting John Doe. So previously when I created this, it was a capital N and capital N, but the real is small n. That's the reason I was getting undefined. But now I recreated it again with the first name and last name, so I'm getting the proper value. So what I did, I created a function and I create object from that function. This is the object. But then I extend my functionality of this function using the prototype. So the prototype is used to extend the functionalities. So whatever functionality you get is limited. You can extend the functionality of this object by the use of prototype. Okay, so this is one way. I will ask you to write down. Give me 1 second. Let me explain the concept and we will do. If I do, okay, so whenever we go with the function and I create function, for example, x. So whenever we have the function and I create object, and I create object using this function, and this function has the property of the prototype, which I can use to extend this function, and so that this my object can also use those functionalities. That is the main purpose of adding those properties. So this is my X function, and I can add x.prototype. Okay, first I have to create the X function, so I can do that. Then I can say x.prototype dot, I can give any name. For example, I will give my name equal to function, and I can extend the functionality. I can say console.log, hey, hello world maybe. So I created a function called as Manish, and I put it as a function, and I just give this hello world. Now, when I create y equal to new x, I can take use of this function, which is not there in here in this function, but I extend it using this method. Okay, so I can say now y.manish, so it will say hello world. Okay, so what I did, I created a function, I created the object from the function, but before or after creating this object, I extend the functionality of my function. I added more functions here in this one, so that this can be extended to more useful component. So I extended this function to more addition of my functions, my custom functions. This is my custom function, and then I can use my function on that object. So I can put this before creation of object or after creation of object, it doesn't matter, but I have to add this. So let's say I add another one, Manish 2. Okay, so I added after creation of this object. Now if I use, so I am also able to call Manish 2. Though while creating the y, I have not created this prototype of Manish 2, but after creation of y also, I created another functionality which will increase the power of my original function, and all my objects. Right now only one object is calling this function, but let's say in my website I have 10 objects calling this function. All that 10 objects will get the power of this extra functionality which I have built it on top of it. And if I see console.dir of x, I will see in the prototype I have Manish and Manish 2 as a function, which I can use whenever I create object from this function. So just write down this function, then write down this with your name. Okay, put this and create object and try to use this object with the new function which you have created. Once you have done this, let me know and put your code in the chat box so I know that you have done it correctly, this part. So this is something I am doing, addition of the functionalities. We are extending the functionalities of our object by adding the functions in the prototype of the original function. So always remember, you have to use prototype to extend the functionality of this function. This is not a normal object that you create obj in a curly bracket and then you can put the function in that. This is something we are creating the object with the constructor method. This is called the constructor method. That is, when I create a function, I create object from the function. This is called the constructor method, and using this constructor method, I have to extend the functionalities using this way. So whenever I extend this functionality, all the extensions will be inside the prototype, and I can see inside this prototype. Okay, yeah. So this is a simple format. In real world, when you go with making the real website, this function will be a lot more complicated. Each prototype will be a lot more complicated. But once you know the basic stuff, you can do more complex stuff later in future. Okay. So this extension is very important, and we will be doing this a lot more in this week. So this week is mostly dedicated to this kind of utility or functionality. So this is the intro class of this prototype, but I will be going more detail about this in few days. So you will be learning a lot about this one and how to create the functions and how to extend the functionalities of the function and other array, string, numeric, other thing also. So let's talk this more tomorrow. Just now, important things I told you to write down. Tomorrow we will talk more about this. Okay, and then you will understand this more clearly. This object is little big and it will take little more time to complete, and we'll be doing this whole week on this part. Okay, let's move to the other part. So from today, I will be dividing the two things. Half 50% will be on this object-oriented JavaScript, and 50% will be to some new stuff which we will be learning to do our work faster. So let's start working on the CSS today. Okay, so let me open my new, one second, open new project and then okay. One second, let me open and then I will see. Okay, so this is my Visual Studio Code. I hope everybody has installed this Visual Studio Code. And I will open the folder. And let me open the folder where I want to work on it. So let's open. Okay, let's create a new folder. So right now I will be starting some CSS part. So I'm creating one folder called the CSS. So my work will go inside this CSS folder. I'll select this folder. Okay. Okay, so let's I open the CSS folder. Now hope everybody has Visual Studio Code, because whatever I will be showing you, you have to do that exercise also. So let's create a new file here as 1.html. Okay, so this is my 1.html, and now I have to put some HTML code inside it. Whenever we have HTML file, we have to put some HTML code, and I already gave you the HTML code long back. So let me give you again. So I have to start with the doc type in the top. I will say doc type HTML. This is the first line for HTML5, and then I will create an HTML tag. I can give language as EN. You can skip this part also. Language you can skip, but it's okay to put language. Okay, now in the HTML tag, in HTML everything is a tag. We have the main tag called HTML, and then we have to start with the head tag, and inside head tag we have a title tag. I will put first lesson in CSS. So title I put something, first lesson in CSS, and then after head tag is closed, so all the tags which are open will be in the angular bracket, and I have to close all the tags. So this HTML is created, and this I'm closing the HTML. Head is created, I'm closing the head tag. This one is not closed, this is just exceptional. Otherwise title tag I opened it and I closed with the slash title. So just remember how to open, how to close. Then I will start with the body tag, and I have the close of the body tag. Now if I want to put any JavaScript, I can put inside the head tag or inside the body tag. So generally people prefer to put in the body tag. The reason is everyone wants to load the HTML first, and then they want JavaScript to be loaded. So anything under the script tag will go inside as a JavaScript. But anything which goes into the style tag also I can add it anywhere, but it is preferred to add it in the head tag. So anything which goes into the style tag will go as a CSS. But CSS has other ways also to define the style sheet, which I will show you today. And before that, I'll just showing the basic structure of the HTML. So this is the basic structure of the HTML, which I will copy it in every HTML page. And you can copy this also, because I will not write this code again and again in every HTML page. So I will create one file called as readme.txt, and I will put it here so that I can copy it from here whenever I want. So I created this HTML page, and now I will show you some CSS basic stuff to start with. So before I go, just you create your first HTML page and put this default code which I am giving you in the chat. So in the chat I put this code. Just put this code and save it somewhere in the readme.txt and 1.html also, because in 1.html I will change it, and in the readme.txt I will keep it as a safe. Whenever I create new file, I will copy it from here. So just create these two files and put this code there, and then we'll start. Let me know when you're done. I gave you this code in the chat. You can copy and paste. Okay, 3 people are done, so we will move further. 2-3 people, once completed, we will do. So this CSS part is very big and very interesting, and it's very enjoyable because we learn a lot of good things, new things. So let's talk about the CSS for the first lesson, how to use the CSS. Now the CSS can be applied using 3 methods. Okay, so I will give some tag. For example, I'll say h3 and I'll say method 1. So I'll show you method 1 to apply the CSS, and then I will show you different method to apply the CSS. Okay. So method 1, and I will write down method 2, and there are 3 methods to use the CSS, and that is the third method. So first method is called the inline CSS. First method is called inline CSS. Second method is called internal CSS. Okay, and third method is called external CSS. You can use inline CSS, you can use internal CSS, and you can use external CSS, whatever you want, whichever you want, you can use it. Okay, so I will show you now all the 3 methods to do the CSS. Let me restart this Visual Studio Code. 1 second, let me restart it. Okay, I restarted this CSS. Now, to see it on the browser, to see this in the browser, I will click this Go Live. So if you have installed the extension Live Server, then you can see this part. Okay, so let me open it. Got closed again. Sorry. Let me open it. Okay, so now to see this live in the browser, you can go live here, and this is the extension I installed called a live server, which I think everybody might have installed it. Live server. This is the live server, and because of this, I can go directly into the browser using by clicking this go live. I have written an HTML page, and then I will click go live. Once I click go live, I can see that in the browser. It opened in my Chrome browser, but I am copying it here. Okay, so what you are seeing in method 1 is inline CSS, method 2 is internal CSS, and method 3 is external CSS. So these are the three methods of the CSS. Let's go through all these three in quickly, and then I will give you some exercise challenge to do that. So inline CSS means I will give CSS directly inside the tag. So this is the div tag. I will give the CSS inside directly in this div tag. So how to give the style to this div tag? I will use the style attribute, and I'll put double quotes, and inside this double quote I will say color equal to whatever I want, red, for example. When I say color equal to red, you will see color of this has become red. So this is the inline CSS because I am writing CSS directly inside the tag like this, and that is called the inline CSS. This method is not very good because if you put directly in the tag, changing it is little tedious job, and developer doesn't like to do the tedious job. They like copy paste simple stuff. So if I put directly in the inline CSS, though it is one of the method but not preferred, but you have to learn it. So if I want to give inline CSS, I will give the style directly to this, and you can see in the browser this color is applied to inline CSS. Second method is called internal CSS. Internal CSS means the CSS in this page inside the style tag, and I can use it here. And to use this here, I will create some style sheet inside this style tag. So for example, I will create one style sheet. So I have to give some name to that style sheet. For example, I will give 1, and I put dot before the 1. So what I'm doing, dot before 1, and I create a style sheet in a curly bracket. So this curly bracket is called declaration block. It's called declaration block, and whatever I write, it's a declaration. So one of the declaration I will write color equal to green, for example, or blue. So what I created some naming convention. This is called naming convention, or this is also called the selector, CSS selector. So what I did, dot 1, and in the curly bracket, whatever properties I want to put, I put it here. And now what I will do, I have to apply this name wherever I want the color blue. So I will take 1, and in the div tag I will say class equal to 1. So whenever I say class equal to 1, it will go in this whole page and see which property has class equal to 1. Since this is class, so we have to put dot before the 1. And 1 and 1 is matching, and there is dot. Dot means class. So that means all these properties will be applied to this div. Okay, let's see on the browser. So you will see this internal CSS is applied to the method 2. Why it is called internal? This is called internal because it is in this page, but it is not tied to this div tag. We are not putting style thing in this div tag. So the advantage of this is I can take this one and I can apply it to this div also. I can say one to this one also. Whereas if I want to use this to another div, I have to copy this whole style sheet and I have to apply it to another one also. So the advantage is here with this is that I write it one time and I can apply it multiple times. But with this one, I have to write multiple times all the style sheets if I have to use the inline one. So this is the internal. I can apply this class to here also, h3, and I will remove it from here. Okay, so since one is there, one is defined here as internal CSS, and I can see this is in the blue color and this is in the red color. Let's see how to do external CSS. External CSS means we have to create a separate CSS file. So I will create separate file called as one.css. So what I did, I created separate CSS file. Now I have to use this CSS file inside one.html. So before using this, I will create some properties here. Say I can say .2 and I will say color equal to orange. I can choose any color from this list. So this whole list is there. I can choose all the colors, whatever I want. So these are the predefined colors. Maybe I can use bloody wood. So what I did, I created a two dot two because I want to apply to class. So I said dot two, and I put some properties inside this, which I want to use it whenever I use the dot two. So now I have to link this file to this my HTML file. So how to link this file to this HTML file? So I will use this code in the head tag. Generally CSS is tied to head tag, but you can use anywhere on the page. Link, I will use link, and I will say rail, and rail should be style sheet. And then I will say hrefs, and in hrefs I have to mention which file I want to use. I want to use one.css, and here I have to close the tag. So this tag does not have the closing tag, not even the self-closing tag. So this is just a simple tag without closing tag. So once I say one.css, that means this one.css will be included in my one.html, and any property which I have defined here, I can use it in this page. So which property I have created? 2. So let me apply the 2 to this one. So I will say class equal to 2. And here also I will say class equal to 2. So both these one will get the 2, and 2 is available in one.css, that is here. So now let's see if it is working. So here we are getting orange color, blue color, and red color. So we have seen the 3 method, inline method, where we apply the style sheet directly in the tag. We have the method 2, where we applied the style sheet using the class. I put class equal to 1, and I gave the class 1 as some properties. Then I have the class equal to 2, which is written in the separate external file, and here I got 2 with the color of this bloody wood, and this is referring to the external file. So preferred way is always the external, because we can use this file in many HTML files and we don't have to write it again and again. If I use this method, I have to write this again and again in all the files which I have. So this internal and inline are not preferred way, but you can use it in emergency whenever you want, and this is the preferred way. So these are the 3 methods of the code. So just write down. I will keep my screen open. You have to write down all 3 methods, put this style sheet, create one.css, and put some code here also. Let me know when you are done. Then I will give you one challenge, that is exercise to do. Okay, so the challenge is like this here. Let me give you the challenge. So I have used right now only the one property color. I can also use another property which I have not used it here, but I will tell you so you can use it in your challenge. So one of the property we saw is the color. Second property which you can use is background color. So background color, and you can put any color, red, green, black, whatever you want. So in addition to color, you can also put background color. So if one example I will do. So for example, here I want to use the background color of this method one. I can say background color of white or black. Okay, so background is black, color is red. Let's see how it looks in the screen. So you'll see background is black and this one is red. Okay, so like this in the challenge which I will give you, you have to use two colors. One is color and background color for everything. So now the challenge comes like this. So challenge is here. You have to write HTML element. So I have used HTML element as h3 div, h3 div, h3 div. You can use h2, you can use h1, and instead of div, you can use p tag, whatever you want, or you can use div tag also, whatever you prefer. So you have to write an HTML element like I have created and connect the CSS to HTML in all three ways. So you have to do all three ways, inline, internal, and external by creating the external file also. And use your CSS property. So choose your own background color. Means whatever you think is best for the screen, you choose your one. Don't choose my one like red and black. Whatever you prefer, you put as a background, and whatever you prefer, you put as a color of the text. So this is the color of the text. This is the background color. So just create same thing, but with background color and choose your own different color. Don't copy my color. Whatever color you prefer, you use that one. Once you're done, just put your code in the chat so I can see it. Just copy paste your code in chat once you're done. I wanted to put it in this chat. I don't want to do the live share now. Okay, let's see. Let me see the code. Okay, so you have used internal CSS in all the three cases. Where is inline CSS? Where is external CSS? I see all is inline. I want you to do with method one, that is the inline. You done internal, not inline, internal CSS. I want you to do using internal, inline, internal, and external. Okay, so just if you feel it's too much, just give me this part first and this part second, and then this part third. So you have to paste three times. One time this one time this thing, and one time this thing. Paste three times. And no need to put all HTML. You can, okay, internal. Okay, this is the inline. Okay, right. Second one is method 2, right. Okay, yeah, that's fine. You can copy paste multiple times. Okay, let's see your file. Yeah, okay. Desti, Ali. Okay, where are others? I want everyone to give me this file. If you cannot paste completely, just divide it. Yeah. Okay. So hope it is clear how to do all three methods in the CSS.